It's small things that stand out to me when it comes to greatness. And watching De La Cruz, a grounder to third is not a grounder to third. It's an opportunity to beat out a hit. And there are a lot of young players that will coast on something like that. This kid goes full speed. There was a grounder to first that he beat out the other night. Like that, I don't know if you teach it, but man, does he have it. He wants to, make sure that he gives you every ounce he has.
He's a joy to watch, a joy to play with. And he wants to use his speed. He knows that it's one of his strengths, but he also knows that people come to watch him run. And I was in Louisville, and there was a second baseman that made a tag at second base, and he was at third base. And the second baseman turned his back and made a tag, and he ran home, and he was safe at the plate. Like, he's going to do some things, and you're going to see them on highlights, and you won't understand how he did it. Couple that with he has the most power maybe in the game. He's easily up there with Judge, Giancarlo,
really?
Shohei. He's everything you could ask for in a prospect, and we have him here in Cincinnati.
Where does that power come from?
It comes from, I can't say hair because I have power. He's got great hair. I've got no hair, but we both have power. I would say probably he's 21. He probably got no sleep last night. He's probably playing video games all night. I know that Chipotle was involved, and he just has it. He just has it.
He reminds me of Eric Davis a little bit.
I don't think Eric's my guy. But if Eric had this sort of power, he's going to hit some balls. We're going to see him at a home run derby at some point.
His build, like
he's taller. He's taller. But yeah, very similar build in terms of slight build. Smaller, sort of wiry build, but he's just electricity. I have to ask his permission what nickname I want to give him, because there's one I want to share publicly,
okay.
But I can't. I have to ask his permission first. So it involves extraterrestrials, but I won't go farther than that. So
I'll hold on if you want to get a hold of him and ask him. Is he down the hall?
It involves UFOs and extraterrestrials.
Okay.
Elly De La Cruz.
Okay. If you had a race with him and you started at home plate, do you get to second before he gets home?
I got a buddy who I had this conversation with about Billy Hamilton, who runs probably as well, maybe not quite as well as Elly De La Cruz. And he said, if I got drunk and I started at first base at the Rogers Center in Toronto, or at Great American Ballpark here, because he's from Toronto, if I got drunk and I raced Billy Hamilton started from home all the way to home plate, and I started from first, I would beat him, he said. And I said, there's no way you could beat him. And he gets all miffed about it. At least with me, if I started at first base, I know Ellie's going to beat me. I would have to get a secondary lead for me to stand any chance of beating him to home plate. And he would laugh at me as he chases me down. So, yeah.
You might get to second before he rounded the bases and got to home if you started at home plate, both of you.
I'd barely get to third. If he'd get to home, and I'd barely get to third.